All right, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you for the opportunity for having us today. My name is Jessica Alfonso-Rodriguez, and I am joined by Nikki Munroe, who is my co-presenter. And our presentation is titled Learn, Play, and Connect for Brain Health, a collaborative and replicable approach for dynamic educational experiences. So this presentation today highlights an educational event focused on increasing awareness of Alzheimer's disease and empowering participants with practical strategies to support lifelong brain health. And so I'll kind of share how it got started, objectives, outcomes, and what we can learn from this approach to be able to possibly apply its model to different program areas. And Nikki will discuss our exciting plans to expand the pilot program in her county. All right. So, before we dive in, just a little bit of background information about Alzheimer's disease. So, Alzheimer's disease and dementia are often used interchangeably, and while they're related, they are not the same thing. Dementia is an umbrella term that describes the decline of memory, thinking, reasoning skills that is severe enough to interfere with daily life. And it results from damage to nerve cells in the brain that affects the brain's ability to communicate and function properly. And so Alzheimer's disease is a type of dementia. And importantly, to know it is not a normal part of aging. And so, in fact, Alzheimer's is the most common form of dementia, accounting for about 60 to 80% of dementia cases. It's considered a degenerative brain disease, and it develops as a result of complex changes of the brain that begin years before symptoms even appear. And so, unfortunately, it's likely that we may have experienced a loved one or someone we know who has experienced this disease, um, and how hard it can be on the person diagnosed, but also the caregiver and the family. Now, Alzheimer's disease is a growing public health concern at the national, state, and local levels. Nationally, it affects about 7 million people aged 65 years and older. The number of individuals with Alzheimer's disease is projected to nearly double by 2060, which is alarming, largely due to the rapid growth of the aging population. And that is particularly important for us here in Florida because we know that this state has one of the largest older adult populations in the nation. And so here in Miami-Dade County, we're actually one of the counties in the nation with a higher estimated prevalence of Alzheimer's in the nation, like one of the top three. And so the prevalence of Alzheimer's continues to affect individuals, but also their caregivers and families, which results in a need for us to be able to provide education and support to our community on this topic. And so I am 10 months into this position as an FCS agent. And so as I began exploring community health priorities, the need for education and awareness around Alzheimer's emerged as a reoccurring theme. And this was further reinforced with conversations with my advisory committee, who identified brain health and Alzheimer's education as critical issues for our community. And so their feedback really provided both the confirmation of relevance and urgency of developing education around this area. And so recognizing this need led me to design a program that not only provides the research-based information on brain health, but also engages participants in meaningful interactive ways that encourage social connection and healthy lifestyle behaviors. All right, so each year the Alzheimer's Association publishes its comprehensive facts and figures report. So if you're interested in this area, this is a really great starting point. It provides a lot of valuable data about the impact of Alzheimer's disease and the latest research on risk reduction and brain health. And so one of the key messages highlighted in this report is that certain lifestyle behaviors can support brain health and may reduce the risk of cognitive decline in Alzheimer's disease overall. And so examples include, like the ones you see on the screen, staying physically active, eating a nutritious diet, managing chronic conditions, getting quality sleep, which I'm sure we all need more of, and engaging in activities that challenge and stimulate the brain. So when we look at these recommendations, it's very clear that Extension is uniquely positioned to support many of these areas through health, nutrition, wellness, and community education efforts. And so as I explored the recommendation to continually challenge and engage our minds, I began thinking about the role of play. And so while play is often associated with children, it can be a really powerful tool and underutilized tool for adults as well. And so play really creates opportunities for cognitive stimulation by encouraging problem solving, creativity, learning, but it also brings people together to help build community, strengthen social connection, and reduce feelings of loneliness. And this is especially important because there's research to support that loneliness can increase the risk of Alzheimer's disease. And so by intentionally incorporating play into educational programming, I kind of saw this idea or this vision, more so the opportunity to teach about brain health, but also to model behaviors that support brain health in a fun and meaningful way. All right, so a little fun fact about me is that I love to play mahjong. It is my favorite hobby. And so for those who may not be familiar with it, it is a traditional Chinese tile-based game with rich cultural history dating back to the mid 1800s. And so the game was later introduced and adapted in the United States, gaining a lot of popularity in the 1920s. And so the objective of the game is to be the first player to complete a winning hand by collecting specific tile combinations. And what I like about Mahjong is that it also creates an opportunity for connections, shared traditions. So like I found Mahjong in 2024 uh, in my era of postpartum. And I was looking for community and doing something that was positive and healthy. And I went to a community class and I took a Mahjong 101 lesson and I never left since. And so it really helps to contribute to social connectedness and overall well-being. And so, while yes, there's this social component, Mahjong also brings a lot of cognitive stimulation. When you're playing the game, you're constantly recognizing patterns and you're making strategic decisions or adapting to changing circumstances, pivoting, learn and thinking creatively. And so these are the same mental skills that help support lifelong brain health. And so as I thought about ways to bring brain health concepts to life, Mahjong inspired me to consider play as a powerful educational tool. And it's also just a fun and engaging way to challenge the mind while also fostering some social connections that are so important for healthy aging and cognitive well-being. And so my program goal was to develop a replicable model that engages new extension audiences by blending knowledge, expertise, play, and community into a memorable experience that promotes and empowers healthy aging. All right, so to measure the success of the program, I focus on four key objectives. So first, I wanted at least 50% of participants to identify one action they plan to take to support their brain health. And so this kind of helped me determine whether participants left the program feeling empowered, to seek or to want to make these positive changes. Second, I set a goal of achieving a customer satisfaction score of at least 4.25 out of 5. And so since the event was designed to be both educational and enjoyable, I wanted to make sure that the participants, or wanted to gauge if the participants felt like it was a high quality, memorable experience. Third, I hope that at least a quarter of the attendees would be new to extension programming. I was curious to see if this mix of education, play, and community engagement could attract people that maybe may not typically attend extension events. And then finally, I wanted to see if this could be a replicable partnership-based model that can be maybe adapted into other program areas. And so if successful, the approach can be used to create educational experiences on a variety of topics. Okay. Um, So to achieve this program goal, I partnered with the Alzheimer's Association and a local Mahjong instructor to create a more dynamic experience. And the Alzheimer's Association, if you're not familiar, has a brain bus. You can see that in the first photo. And it's a statewide outreach program that travels all throughout Florida, providing free education and resources on Alzheimer's disease. And again, free of cost. And they bring a lot of great printed material, and you can select for a speaker to come in. And so we had Rob Harris, which was a delight, and he came in and gave us a short presentation on grounding us between the understanding of dementia and Alzheimer's and some risk factors and some warning signs and lots of resources. I also partnered up with a local Mahjong instruction business called Mahjong on the Beach, which provided a beginner-friendly Mahjong 101 lesson and all the necessary game supplies, which was major. And I want to emphasize the importance of strategic partnerships because as extension agents, we often wear many hats, but we don't necessarily need to do everything alone. And so partnerships allow for us to expand our expertise and leverage some available community resources and create more comprehensive programs. I also wanted to make sure that the program incorporated a blend of educational methods. And so we use lecture-based, experiential, and cooperative learning to make sure that the program was dynamic. And then to evaluate the program, I used a post-program survey and Mentimeter responses to assess participant engagement and objective outcomes. All right, so this is the approach and this is the model that I kind of put together. So while this program focused on brain health and Alzheimer's awareness, the framework itself can be applied to many different extension topics, whether the focus is nutrition or financial wellness, horticulture, youth development, etc. The idea of incorporating education, hands-on activities like play and social engagement can help to make more meaningful and memorable learning experiences for participants. And I think this idea of something that's very relevant and trendy of a group activity, you might be bringing it. In my experience with this program, people came because they were interested in brain health. Some people came because of the Mahjong. Some people came because they learned that it was a community program near them that was affordable. So it may help to attract different clientele to help bring them to Extension and, so that they can learn that Extension can also be a hub for community events. And so this is how I adapted that framework for this Boost Your Brain, Learn and Play for Brain Health event. So using strategic partnerships, using a cognitive stimulating group activity to teach or engage in positive behavior, building opportunities for social connection. So I really use Mahjong as a vehicle for social connection. I did a lot of intentional breaks with food so that people can sit down, talk, have coffee. And I paired people up with a buddy. So traditionally, Mahjong is kind of like a card game, right? You have a person on each side. I intentionally put two people on each side so that they had a buddy that they can kind of talk with and kind of figure out how do we play this game. So kind of pairing up people was really nice, and people saw exchange numbers. So that's like such a wonderful win, making a friend out of it and using those intentional learning methods. And so I wanted to just put a little slide about Mentimeter because maybe this is something that some people know of and maybe some people don't. Mentimeter is a free audience engagement tool, and participants can actively interact with you throughout the presentation through polls, through word clouds, through questions, real-time feedback. And I like it because I tend to be, me personally, a little bit of a shyer person when I go to community events like this. And so it's nice because even the shyest person can engage through connecting on the QR code and having their phone. And as you put questions for reflection or for group discussion, you can see their responses pop up in real time. So it's really great. It makes it more fun and more dynamic. And again, for those shy participants, it's a game changer. And so here you can see the program demographics. Most participants were female, Hispanic, or Latino, and between the ages of 30 to 59. This was especially exciting because Alzheimer's education often attracts older adults, yet we were able to engage a younger audience. And the reason why that's important is because brain changes associated with Alzheimer's can begin 20 years or more before symptoms even appear. So, reaching adults earlier in life provides an opportunity to increase that awareness and encourage brain healthy habits long before cognitive decline becomes a concern. I do want to address um, it is a smaller I would say sample size, so to speak. And that was done intentionally. We intentionally capped registration at 16 participants. We had 16 tickets sold, but one person couldn't attend. And that's because Mahjong instruction is typically most effective in smaller group settings. So we really wanted to be a high quality event. So I was pleased to see that the program achieved its intended objectives, particularly since this is the first time that the program was offered. And the positive outcomes suggest strong potential for replicating and expanding this model. So you can see 66.7% of participants identified at least one action they intend to adopt to support their brain health. We achieved a customer satisfaction average rating of 4.87 out of 5, so people were happy. 33% of participants were new to extension programming, which was great. And so following the pilot program, the educational model was selected for delivery in Indian River County, which is exciting. And I'm going to quickly move through these. These are pictures. I love pictures because you can see the magic that was in that day. You know, this was a Saturday morning at 9 o'clock, and it was a 3-hour workshop. And people left energized and happy, and that is such a success because we often compete for people's time. So I wanted to make sure that it was a high quality event that they felt like uh, with knowing that extension can be education and also fun. Um, and so I'm going to hand it over to Nikki, who will talk a little bit about what's next for this pilot program.
Thank you, Jessica, and thank you for the opportunity to even find out about your programming. Um, in my county, I am the Master Gardener Coordinator, and I work with a lot of people who are at least 65 years or older. So one of the things that stood out for me was the size of the population in my county that is 65 years or older, and the Florida average is 12%, but IRC's average is 37%, right? And I do a lot of quality of life kind of programming with my volunteers already. So one of the things that I am looking forward to when they come up here to work with us is that we continue to collaborate with our local Alzheimer's Association, because we already do that, and allowing the volunteers to be the ambassadors that they normally are. So our program, when Jessica comes up, will be a bring a friend kind of event. That way she can continue to collect data on expanding Extension's reach and enhancing the quality of life of our existing clients. So go ahead, Jessica.
Thank you, Nikki. And so, conclusion. So, creative partnerships can help to enhance subject area expertise, expand resources, and help strengthen program delivery. That coinciding with diverse educational methods can help effectively promote brain health education, and these methods can help attract new clientele, increase program satisfaction, and encourage intent of behavior change. And so we're excited for this opportunity with Indian River County because we can learn more about what successful adoption looks like as it's scaled, and it will help bring extension more of a broader reach and to help ensure that we're maintaining relevancy in our community. And so I know that we are at time. So if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to myself or to Nikki, and we're happy to provide any questions, any responses, but also any resources, or if you're interested. And that is it for my presentation. Thank you.